This is a heartbreaking story, in my opinion. Am I the a-hole for divorcing my wife after finding out I'm not the biological father of any of our three kids? This is a tough one, and I've been going back and forth on whether to post this, but I really need some outside perspective. I, 45 male, have been married to my wife, Lucy. She's 44 for 20 years. We had what I thought was a solid marriage. Most men don't think there's anything wrong with their marriage until it's too late. We have three kids, Malcolm, 18, Stanley, he's 16, and Evelyn, she's 14. For all these years, I've done everything I can to be a good husband and father. I've worked hard to provide for my family, spent countless hours with my kids, helped with homework, attended all their events, and been there for every milestone. I loved being a dad. It was a huge part of my identity. A few months ago, Malcolm was getting ready to go to college. Part of the process involved him getting a comprehensive medical checkup. The university required a detailed medical history, and his doctor suggested genetic testing to identify any potential hereditary health risks. It seemed like a smart move. Better safe than sorry, right? I didn't hesitate to agree, thinking it would just be another routine checkup. A couple of weeks later, I got a call from the clinic asking me to come in to discuss the results. I didn't think much of it at first. I figured they just wanted to go over everything in person. But when I got there, the doctor sat me down and told me something that made my stomach drop. She said, the DNA test showed that I'm not Malcolm's biological father. Wow, I can't imagine what his thought process was after hearing that. I was completely blindsided. I mean, how could this be? I'm his dad. I've always been his dad. I asked if there could have been some kind of mix-up, but the doctor assured me that they had double-checked everything and the results were accurate. I felt like my whole world had just come crashing down. When I got home, I didn't know how to confront Lucy. She was in the kitchen making dinner like it was any other day, completely unaware that my entire perception of our life had just been shattered. I handed her the envelope with the test results and watched as she read it. Her face went pale, and she looked up at me with tears in her eyes. Is this true? I asked. I was desperate for her to tell me it was a mistake, that there was some logical explanation. She just stood there, silent, and that's when I knew. I didn't need her to say anything. The guilt on her face was all the confirmation I needed. I couldn't believe it. I felt like my chest was being crushed. I asked her if she had cheated on me, and after a long, painful silence, she admitted that she had. She said it was years ago, a mistake she regretted deeply, but she didn't know who Malcolm's biological father was. She said she convinced herself it didn't matter because I was his father in every way that counted. What? The hell it doesn't matter. Why do some women have this dumbass thought process that any man is a father regardless of paternity? Get out of here with that shit. I was devastated. How could she keep something like this from me? I felt betrayed, humiliated, and heartbroken all at once. I didn't know how to process it. I couldn't even look at her. I walked out of the house and drove around for hours, trying to make sense of what I had just learned. In the days that followed, I found myself looking at Stanley and Evelyn differently. I hated that I was questioning their paternity, but I couldn't help it. The doubt was eating away at me. I knew I needed to know the full truth. So I had DNA tests done for Stanley and Evelyn too. When the results came back, it was like reliving the nightmare all over again. Neither Stanley nor Evelyn is biologically mine. Wow. 3 kids, 3 DNA tests, and none of them are mine. I can't even describe the pain I felt at that moment. It was like my entire life had been one big lie. I confronted Lucy again, and this time she broke down completely. She told me that she had affairs during the early years of our marriage when things were rocky. She said she didn't know who the fathers were and that she was too ashamed to tell me the truth. She said she hoped and prayed that I was a father, and when the kids were born, she convinced herself that it didn't matter because I had always been their dad. But it did matter. It mattered more than I could have ever imagined. The kids I had loved and raised were not mine by blood. Everything I thought I knew about my family was turned upside down. I couldn't stay with Lucy after that. The trust was gone, and I couldn't see any way of rebuilding it. I decided to divorce Lucy. Telling the kids was the hardest part. We sat them down and told them that we were separating, but I couldn't bring myself to tell them the real reason. How could I? How could I look into their eyes and tell them that I wasn't their biological father? I don't know if I could either. That the mother they loved had lied to me and to them their entire lives. We told them we had grown apart and that we both still loved them. They were devastated. Of course, Evelyn kept asking why we couldn't just fix it, and I didn't have the heart to tell her that some things can't be fixed. After the divorce, I moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. It's a lonely place, especially without the kids around. They stay with Lucy most of the time, but I see them every weekend. I'm trying to be strong for them, but it's hard. Every time I look at them, I'm reminded of the life I thought I had, the life that was taken away from me. I haven't told the kids the truth. I don't know if I ever will. I still love them, and they're still my kids in every way that matters. But I can't shake the feeling that I've lost something irreplaceable. I'm trying to move forward, but it feels like a part of me is stuck in the past, replaying everything that happened over and over again. Here's where I need your judgment. My family and some close friends think I'm overreacting by divorcing Lucy. They say that DNA test doesn't change the fact that I'm their father and that I should have worked things out for the sake of the kids. They've even implied that I'm being an asshole for breaking up the family over something that happened so long ago, something that Lucy regrets. Bullshit. She cheated on her husband, and she doesn't deserve protection because it happened years ago. If her family and friends are telling him to stay with her, they are delusional. I always say, never live in misery with a cheating woman, regardless of when it happened. But I can't get past the betrayal. I feel like I deserve to know the truth, and I can't stay with someone who lied to me for 20 years. I feel like my whole identity as a father has been ripped away from me. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for divorcing my wife after breaking up our family, after finding out I'm not the biological father of my kids? Edit. I want to thank everyone who has commented so far. I've been reading through your responses, and it's been both overwhelming and comforting to see how many people have taken the time to share their thoughts and experiences. I know some of you have suggested therapy, but I'm not sure if I want to do it. This is a lot to process, and I know I can't do it alone. I'm also thinking about how to move forward with the kids, whether to tell them the truth or not. It's such a difficult decision, and I don't want to hurt them any more than they've already been hurt. Thank you all for your support. It means more than I can say. Well, I can't imagine what this man is going through. He spent his time and resources raising 3 kids that are not his. The last time I checked, if a child was born in 2023, it will cost you about $375,000 to raise that child until they're 18. That number does not include college. That number has gone up $100,000 the last time I checked. And yes, in my opinion, paternity tests should be mandatory at birth so men can stay the fuck out of prison for not paying child support for kids that are not theirs. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.